the mystification of celibacy would seem far less exotic and magical and mysterious if we didn't live in such a perverted society. And the thirst traps that we have to go through on a daily basis, the incessant quality that some of these women have. Like, I'm a misogynist. I'm so misogynist that I will hold a door open for a woman if she disrespects my boundaries after I show her the door to leave. That's how misogynist I am. And I really don't care about, it's not even like, of course, like I'm being facetious a little bit, but it's about the quality in which we're just not allowed to live our life according to other people when we are at peace and we are just living freely and joyfully. Like, yesterday I decided to do something that I had no plans for, and I really don't do too much, but I actually really enjoy it. I went bowling. I got a lot of work done. It was a very busy day. And then, I had like 30-40 minutes before I needed to get a project done. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go bowling. So I just went to the bowling alley, bowled a couple games and left. Went back, got some work done, made some dinner, bada bing, bada boom. And the freedom that I felt with that, and just the raw, like the pure spontaneity of it that I felt with it was just so pure. It was just so true. I felt so aligned, There was that alignment that was just really there. And you can't really do that kind of stuff when you're in a relationship. Like, you can, but you can't really. Like, imagine if I went bowling. I don't know. Do people? Maybe men don't tell them their women this. Maybe women don't tell their men this. But like, if I just wanted to leave to go somewhere, and I'll be like, "Hey, I'll be back." I'll be back. I mean what I say, and I say what I mean. She doesn't need to know where I'm going. But the first thing she thinks, I might just be going bowling. Like, I might just be going bowling. But the first thing she thinks is, who are you cheating on me with? And the nagging begins, and it's just too much sometimes, But also at the same time, it's just enough. Like, that's something I've been really mindful about in my narrative structure recently, is if I ever say like, oh, this is just too much, I can't keep doing this, like I can't keep doing, I just recognize it and I say, okay, there is frustration, and how do I let this go? Like, what is the letting go-ishness that must be had for this? And so I just see it and I let it go. I just acknowledge that there is frustration and I let myself feel it, but I don't always need to act on it. And that's what happens, right? But like, you can't really do that kind of stuff. Can you? I mean, maybe you can, right? Like, this is a narrative structure. Oh, you can't really do that kind of thing in a relationship with a woman. Okay, that's a narrative. Now, is that true? Well, obviously not. It's not true. You can do things, but it's like, you ever see Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind with Jim Carrey? That is a marvelous movie. Okay, do not watch that if you are just, if you're on a psychedelic trip or something, don't watch it. But but if you are just grounded and you're wanting a deep dive into relationships, it's a brilliant story. Like, one of the best stories I've seen, because it was for free on YouTube, and in the spirit of the time. And a couple nights ago, I had my movie night, my annual 1 week night movie night. And so I decided to watch that because I have been watching these Studio Ghibli movies, right? Because I love the Studio Ghibli movies. The animations, the artistic quality is amazing. You know, the story is just, you jump right into the story. It's just kind of like life, you know, you just kind of pop in and it's like, okay, well, here I am. It's kind of where it is in Studio Ghibli. And exactly the same thing happened with this Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind movie. But one of the most fascinating things about the movie was the quality of relationships. You know, it was just how you can, being in a relationship is like dharma. Now, dharma in the Hindu religion is essentially, it's your own coming to God through your spiritual practice. That's what that is, right? So your dharma is essentially the karma that you have to work through, basically. That's another way to think about it. Fresh coffee. I think I've developed a method, like the perfect method for imperfectness when it comes to coffee. I have just the right amount of coffee grind going into the French press. Coffee grounds, not grind, but coffee grounds going into the French press. And then the just amount, like the just right amount of water, you know, to mix in. Because I drink the coffee black. And then I wait like, 7 to 10 minutes after I get it to a certain point in the boiling with the water. And man, oh man, it's just like the perfect temperature. But anyway, going back to this story and relationships, the story of relationships really comes down to you have to be willing to work with one another. The thing is like with celibacy, you get to work with yourself freely in such a way that it's just you, right? And it always is just you. But when there's another form that you're working with, because we're all in, how do I say this? Because I don't want to sound like I'm forcing you to believe something, but at the same time, I'm just calling it how I see it. So just take that as it is. It is the case that we are all one soul expressing itself in different forms. Now, how you define soul is going to be determining, it's a determining factor based on your semantics. But for me, it's the soul is just the eternality. It's the singularity, you could say. Whatever it is that you want to describe it as. And so we are all God, the soul of existence, expressing itself in different forms. And so when you meet another person and you're in a relationship with them, whether it's in business or whether it's in like romantic relationships or family or whatever the case is, you're going to have some kind of form of dharma to work with, right? It's going to be some kind of form of purification that's going to be had. And one thing that the Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind does so well is in the beginning, spoiler alert, I won't go too much into it, but I'll give you enough detail to get the gist of the metaphor here, or at least the storyline. Essentially, they are in really dire straits in the beginning, this couple. And throughout the story, the male, Jim Carrey's character, who wasn't really assertive, he learns through certain situations how to be more assertive. And the woman who was hyper impulsive, she learns how to take criticism a little bit more easily as well. And so there's this beautiful dynamic that happens where the man kind of comes into himself and the woman is able to receive a little bit more. And this is fantastic because it's as if the story itself is showing the human condition when it comes to relationships. And I'm not saying that you should be celibate forever. And I'm not saying I am going to be celibate forever, like I'm choosing this forever. It just is, this is my lifestyle now. I've done this for nearly 5 years at this point, celibacy. I've been practicing semen retention for over 4 years. And I'm just to a point where, like, someone on X recently was, they talked about how, she's been celibate for a year now. She said she's been celibate for a year and it's just changed her life and all this stuff. And, I basically told her that that's great. I encouraged her. And I also added that, yeah, I've been on celibacy for over 4 years, going on 5. And she was like, wow, that's pretty crazy. And then she said she might celebrate 1 year by getting laid. Very, very funny sense of humor, this lady. And, I said, look, if you want to do it, so be it. I'm not going to stop you, but it's going to take a unicorn for me to give up my full sack. And she said, she laughed a little bit, and then she said, I can put a horn on a horse. And then I said to her, look, at this point in my life, it might be more interesting for me to see a unicorn than to engage in sexual activities. Because that's just the truth. Like, everywhere you look is a thirst trap, man. Everywhere you look, it's like, holy crap, I literally cannot even walk out of my door without a freaking... Now, look, I'm grateful that these hot chicks live around me. Don't get me wrong. I'm grateful for that. But, like, holy crap. Nobody, and granted, it is warm outside, right? Like, we're going to experience some heat waves this weekend where I live. So I understand and I understand the reason for, like, little to no clothes, because I walk around with my shirt off all the time. I get that. But I'm not trying to seduce anybody doing that. I'm just being who I am. These women are trying to, they're walking thirst traps. Their intentions are not because, like, it's hot and I just want to relax. No, they're like, how can I show myself so that these men will look at me and then I can feel special? That's most of these women. That is a real enactment and a true enactment of how these women behave oftentimes. It's not our fault. It's not our fault that you want to be seen. It's not our fault that you feel like you need our validation, ladies. It's not our fault. Now, look, there are women who, yes, like, are celibate and that want to live, at least treat sex more sacredly. Absolutely. But I think also men have lost control of themselves. Like, this is not all on the ladies, of course. But what I don't like about the society that we live in is that every time, like, okay, think about this, right? Hormones are a thing. When women are going through their cycles, it's like, even in the workplace, when I was working in digital marketing, like, oh, it's just that time. And the ladies would be like, oh, I totally understand. Like, they would get a pass on the work that needed to be done because they were on their fucking menstrual cycle. And it's like, I don't get a free pass for when I'm super horny. When I'm super horny, by the way, Kundalini energy, just so you all know, Kundalini energy is horniness, right? That's something I learned recently. But anyway, you're telling me that you get a pass. You get to, like, postpone the deadline and still get paid more than me because of your title, and you've been working here longer, while complaining about no free wage, like no equality or whatever. It is unequal as fuck out here. It is unequal. You all, everything is going in women's favors. Everything is going in women's favors. And the only way that we can communicate this as men is to hold our ground. That's the only way that we can do this. The only way that we can communicate to these women that they are living life on easy mode, so much so that they don't even know it. Like, they are in fantasy land, bro. They are in fantasy land. Most of them, not all of them, of course. Like, there are some reasonable women. Like the one woman who said she's celibate. She sounds reasonable. Like, from what I talked and engaged with her, she seems like she has a good sense of humor. But that's like online, you know. That's like, and it's a specific niche that we're looking at. I'm talking about like everyday life. I don't meet any of those type of people in everyday life. And that's not a narrative structure that I'm projecting in the symbolic narrative field. Like, I'm aware of this. I'm simply saying that I know that they're here. I know that they're around. I've just yet to meet them in the forms. And I'm guessing, and I have a good understanding and understanding from all of them. I've talked to hundreds of men around the globe at this point in Godlike Mastery, the Regal Academy, my one-on-one sessions, everything that is going in accordance with my business. I've talked to so many different types of men, and they all tell me the same types of stories all around the world. It can't be a coincidence that feminism has, and look, like, there's a lot of women that I've talked to in my one-on-ones and Godlike Mastery, actually, because Godlike Mastery, I'm actually a little, I'm not surprised. It's just interesting that there's been nearly more women and just as much women that are interested in my Godlike Mastery offer than there are men, which is very fascinating to me. Because it seems to me like the women that really want to change, they really want to change. And the men that really want to change, of course, they really want to change. But most of the men have lost themselves to lust. Most of the women have just lost themselves from desiring validation. And it's like celibacy has become this mystical thing. I mean, it's really not that mystical. It's just regular life. Like, I put out a meme like a week or so ago on my YouTube posts where I had, you know, this mythical beast of a man. And I said, the idea of a full sack, right? And then I had like this normal guy and this normal whatever dude. And I said, actually having a full sack. And a lot of people didn't get it. Many did. Like, I would say the majority of people did get what I was saying. But a lot of people didn't get it. They were like, what do you mean? What, like, some of the people, and I just don't respond to this because I see it as noise, but also as feedback sometimes. Because sometimes critiques or just questions can be really good feedback. So I looked at that and I looked at some of these comments and people were like, what do you mean? I don't get it. Like, isn't the full sack supposed to do like all these things and you're supposed to get all these benefits? And it's like, dude, it's just regular life. Like, being godlike, this is my whole essence when it comes to Godlike Mastery. I tell my Godlike Mastery initiates from the get-go, I am not the master. I'm not the godlike master. I'm not the godlike educator. I'm the Godlike Mastery education. That's who I am going to be and what I'm going to be in the spirit of this time. Additionally, this whole, like, being godlike is about learning how to be normal. Like, it's about learning how to be ordinary. Because when you're ordinary, it's the most extraordinary thing that you could do. And people will say, well, I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's like, okay, well, because I've been on podcasts in the past where I've talked about this, and sometimes people get it and sometimes people don't. And it's very clear the people that do get it are high in openness. They're usually industrious, and they're capable, or at least they're capable of industriousness, and they're usually highly creative, and they're not neurotic most of the time, or at least they've gotten an understanding of their own neuroticism to the point to which they don't lose themselves. They don't go frantic about certain things. But yeah, I mean, this is just, This whole thing, when it comes to celibacy, it's not super mystical. It doesn't need to be super mystical. Being godlike doesn't need to be super mystical, but apparently it is, you know. I mean, that's just what it is. And it's like what Jesus Christ says in the Bible. He says, you know, if you're not going to be able to receive it, you're not going to be able to receive this. The men that are going to be able to receive it are going to receive it. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to receive it. I mean, he's speaking very odd, like what he says is like, well, yeah, no, duh. Of course, whoever receives it is going to receive it, and whoever doesn't receive it is going to not receive it. But it's there's something deeper that he's really saying there, of course. And so these are why, like these things are why we study like holy books, you know, like the Bhagavad Gita or the Bible or the Quran. You know, these, I'm saying those three because those are the three that I've studied the most. Of course, there are other holy books. I actually have Thomas Aquinas's prayer book. If you ever want like a philosopher's perspective of God, Spinoza and Thomas Aquinas are one of the best as far as I'm concerned. Thomas Aquinas makes very, very reasonable logical arguments, but the thing is like I don't see them as arguments. I think arguing, that's another thing about relationships that you can learn from the Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind movie, is arguing doesn't get you anywhere. You have to like work with each other's flaws, you know, and be patient with each other because it is work. Like relationships are work. People just don't want to believe it because that means that they actually have to put an effort. So, yeah, very, very abstract, but not abstract topic today. I trust that this message was received by those ready to receive it. And if you're interested in the Godlike Mastery offer that I have, go ahead and apply. And I do not accept everybody, but I do have 3 spots open for this month, and it looks like I'm going to have 3 spots open for next month. But I'm focusing just on this month, of course, for the time being. But you know, we can start right away, and it's for those who are really ready to transform. Otherwise, you can join the Regal Academy where you just kind of want to learn at your own pace. You know, maybe there's some classes, some group calls, you know, maybe you just kind of want to be in a group of like-minded individuals. That's what the Regal Academy is for. And there's the standard tier as well as the premium tier. The premium tier is where you get the group calls and additional classes. But the standard tier is still going to provide you with all the tools necessary that you need for the spirit of the time that you're in this journey. Because we're all sharing the path. You know, there's no path that like, ooh, it's only my path. It's like, well, yes and no. It's a paradox. But anyways, peace be with you. Be blessed. Until next time.